Hey everybody, I'm Rick Beato, and today's Everything Music. It's What Makes This Song Great, episode 91. The artist is Joni Mitchell, and the song is Amelia. Coming up next. Before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about Joni Mitchell. Some of you may be saying, who's Joni Mitchell? I know the people that know her are thinking, how do they not know Joni Mitchell? Well, Joni Mitchell is a painter, a poet, a singer, a songwriter, a legend of my generation, and spanned the genres of folk, jazz, and rock. Some of you may actually recognize her songs, but not realize it. Check these out.
I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow we help me. I think I'm falling in love again. When I get that crazy feeling, I know don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone. It gave paradise, put up a parking lot.
Amelia is the second song off her 8th studio record entitled Hejira. That record was released in November of 1976. It featured Jaco Pastorius on the bass, along with other musicians like Larry Carlton, who actually plays on this song. Jaco actually doesn't play on Amelia, but he plays on the record. Her music was going more in that direction, where she was starting to use more jazz players. In fact, this record came out, it's a live album, in 1980. I got this in 1980. It's called Shadows and Light, and features Pat Metheny on guitar, Jaco Pastorius on the bass, Lyle Mays on the keyboards, Don Elias on the drums, and Michael Brecker on the saxophone. So it's all-star lineup of the greatest or biggest players of her time. And the version of Amelia that's on that record is fantastic. In a 1996 article where she's talking about this particular album, Joni says, I wrote this album while traveling cross-country by myself, and there is this restless feeling throughout it. The sweet loneliness of solitary travel. In this song, I was thinking of Amelia Earhart and addressing it from one solo pilot to another, sort of reflecting on the cost of being a woman and having something you must do. Let's check out the intro. Just keeps reaching new heights right here in the introduction. Okay, before we get started, we need to talk about the tuning that Joni's in. Those of you that are familiar with her music know that she uses a lot of unconventional tunings, alternate tunings, open tunings in this case. This is tuned to an open C major chord. So you have the notes C, G, C, E, G, C. Now, this recording is slightly sharp, so if you get out your tuner, you have to actually tune to the track, or tune to the song to get it right in tune. So my guitar is tuned slightly sharp, 10 cents or so. So the beauty of alternate tunings is that you get all these great chord voicings that you just could not play in standard tuning. And it takes advantage of being able to bar, for example, in a major chord, this is F major, then that's bouncing between F major to a B flat major add 9 over F. So if I play it on the piano, it starts F major like that, but with that extra F on the top, but it's going between then B flat add 9 over F. So it's bouncing between those. That on the guitar would be impossible to do in standard tuning. So she starts out here. Modulate right up a whole step into the key of G. Well, let me play along. Lift. I was driving across the burning desert when I spun you. Another modulation. Leaving 6 white paper trails across the bleak terrain. Oh, I mean, forget about the lyrics. The melody is absolutely beautiful. The chord changes. You have the intro. And then you have modulate up a whole step. So the whole song just lifts in its color. And then it moves up a minor third. Okay, so it goes from the key of G up to the key of B flat. Then it goes to A minor 7, if you take into account all the open strings. And then the next chord is really cool. So it's a B minor with the flat 2 and flat 6. And then back to G to C add 9, and it holds there. Let's talk about the melody next.
I was driving across the burning desert when I spotted 6 jet planes, leaving 6 white vapor trails across the bleak terrain.
Okay, these are moving, all these beautiful melody notes are moving right with the chords. So it starts on the 5th of the G major chord on the note D. I was driving across the burn. And then when it goes on burning, it goes to that C add 9 over G, and she sings the note E, the 3rd of the C major chord, right? Burning desert. Then she comes down, da 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 da, down a G add 9 chord, back when she's around G major. Then it goes up to the B flat chord, da da da, to the 5th of B flat major, da da da. So that melody's going F, G, F. When it goes B flat to E flat, add 9, back to B flat. So it's just following the outline of those changes, taking the melody notes and hitting when those chord changes like a jazz musician would do. The line just follows right along with the chords. Then when it goes to the A minor 7th chord, it goes the D to C. It's really the 4th to the 3rd of the scale. Da, da, da. Same thing on the B minor. Although that B minor chord has that dissonance in it, right? Da, da, da. But she's thinking about that D as being the 3rd of the B minor chord. Then da 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 da. So right there, it goes from the G, B, D, and then C add 9. It holds on the root of the C chord. So this is just a chord tone melody, a perfect chord tone melody. One of the things I want to point out is this line. I always talk about this.
I was driving across the burning desert
Right here.
when I spotted 6
Here.
jet planes.
Right there. Planes, that lift right there, I call that a cap at the end of a phrase. This is what a jazz player would do, or a great blues player. They would put a cap at the end of a sentence. Plane. You hear that little phrase ending there, and it gives it closure. It's like putting the period at the end of the sentence. You know, people always say to me, well, these artists, they really don't know what they're doing. And I always joke about it. Well, I know what they're doing, and I'm telling you what they're doing. But in this case, Joni Mitchell actually knows what she's doing. She understands these chord structures. I came across this interview that she was giving probably, 10 years ago or so, talking about chord progressions. Check this out.
I think because men need to solve things and to come to conclusions. The sus chord, there's a law that Wayne Shorter told me, never stay on a sus chord too long. Never go from a sus chord to a sus chord. Well, I know I'm going from a sus chord to a sus chord to a sus chord. You know, chords of inquiry. Because my life was full of questions. When are they going to drop the big one? Where's my daughter? You know, like there were so many unresolved things in me that those chords suited me. And, you know, like I'd stay in unresolved emotionality for days and days, you know, so here's a depiction. Why can't you just go 3 chords unresolved like that? And then when you hit a major or even a minor in the progression, boom, you know, there's quite a dramatic change coming out of that into resolution or you know, and I hadn't heard chords put quite that way before. These are Joni's weird chords, you know, everybody's been saying, what, the Martians are here, you know, Joni's, oh, the Martians are here. You know, when David Crosby would pick up a guitar that I just touched and he'd go bling, you know, they go, oh, the Martians have been here.
That's pretty hilarious that she's talking about sus chords. Now, there's a couple sus chords in this tune. I mean, this voicing right there is really like a sus chord. This A minor 11, that acts kind of a sus chord. And even when she's playing G to C over G back to G, that's acting like a sus chord because it wants to return back to the tonic because it has that, it's like a 4/1 there. Joni uses these kind of chords all the time, and this is what makes her music so interesting. That's why people like myself and jazz musicians really love her music because it's so harmonically rich. Let's talk about the lyrics for a second. Now, I don't usually talk about the lyrics on these What Makes This Song Great videos. Many times because the lyrics are interpreted differently by different people, unless you're Joni Mitchell. One of the things about Joni is that she is all about imagery, right? She starts out and just sets the scene immediately. Lyrics are very esoteric, but Joni Mitchell's lyrics are amazing. The imagery is incredible. I was driving across the burning desert. Sets up where she is when I spotted 6 jet planes, leaving 6 white vapor trails across the bleak terrain. And then she goes on to compare it to the 6 strings of her guitar. She uses words like bleak, right? Bleak terrain. And this is beautiful imagery. Next, we move to the chorus.
Terrain.
Beautiful. Larry Carlton entrance.
It was just a false alarm.
Then she goes back to the intro. And then Larry Carlton sounds like a pedal steel. Beautiful. Whew. Then.
The drone of flying engines is
Oh. Wow. The chorus of the song is really what she just says. Amelia, it was just a false alarm. It's absolutely beautiful. There's hardly any instrumentation in here, but Larry's guitar parts. Man, amazing. Chills. Oh, just
then your life becomes a travelogue of picture postcards.
bass enters there. They just gradually bring in these other instruments. Amelia was just a false alarm. This record has so many great songs on it. But not just this record, all of Joni's records. Listen to Blue. Blue has some of the most beautiful songs that I've ever heard. It's a perfect album. This is one of my favorite songs from that record.
It's coming on Christmas. They're cutting down trees. They're putting up reindeer and singing songs of joy and peace. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on.
That entire record is great, but she has other amazing records. Hissing of Summer Lawns, Mingus, Court and Spark. You should really just go through her whole catalog and listen to them. The Shadows and Light record that I mentioned at the beginning of the video is actually up on YouTube, the entire concert. It's a live concert. Here's a clip of them playing Amelia. You can see her and a young Pat Metheny back from 1979, the concert. It came out in 1980, but 1979. Check it out.
Maybe I've never really loved. I guess that is the truth. I've spent my whole life in clouds at icy altitudes.
When I did the chord at the beginning of the video, I used this chord voicing like that. I'm actually playing those 2 notes on the E and A string, but you'll see that she's using her thumb to play those like that. I've played them that way in this video as well. But she's playing just like an E major chord and putting her thumb here like that. So that's another way to play that chord voicing there. But for ease, I would play it like that. But it looks like Joni's actually playing it like that. I'm sorry that it took me 91 episodes of What Makes This Song Great to get to Joni Mitchell. It was hard for me to think of how to present her. I cry when I listen to her records. It's, when I hear all these records, they're so hauntingly beautiful. It just blows my mind. And her lyrics, I used to just sit and just read her lyrics off the albums. I've got all the actual LPs still. I encourage you to go and check out Joni Mitchell. She is one of the most brilliant artists, brilliant songwriters, poets of all time. That's all for now. Please subscribe here to my Everything Music YouTube channel. If you're a first-time viewer, don't forget to ring the bell. That's important. Please comment. Give the video a thumbs up. I never ask people to do that, but actually, because I always forget to do that. If you're interested in my Beato book or anything from my store, that's how I support the channel. Go to my website at www.rickbeato.com. Follow me on Instagram at rickbeato1. Check out my new Beato ear training method. If you go to beatoeartraining.com, you can watch the introduction video. And if you want to support the channel even more, think about becoming a member of the Beato Club. Thank you so much for watching.
But it don't snow here, it stays pretty green. I'm gonna make a lot of money, then I'm gonna quit this crazy scene. I wish I had a river I could skate.